Hello everyone and welcome to week 2, day 1, aka day 6 of the touch typing experiment. As I decided last week, I am doing the 5-minute test. I was a little worried because I didn't practice over the weekend, and the format was a bit different. I had kind of decided I would try to do the test looking at the text I'm copying and not at all at what I'm typing. But then with this layout, I couldn't really do that, so I didn't. In the end, the result is pretty much unchanged. We're still at the same word per minute. It took me a bit of time to understand what I was looking at, but my speed is still 32, and apparently I'm aiming for 37. That was the best result of that day. Moving on to the lessons, as you can see in the course, I really should be doing the numbers, but I feel I should feel more confident with the letters before doing that. So what I did last week when I wanted extra practice, I switched course and I went to the typing jungle. I skipped the letter practice because I had done that. What I wanted was the paragraph drills, and I saw they had tricky words, and I felt that could be some good extra practice for me before moving on to the numbers. So that's what I started to do. And as I was typing, not at that point yet, but as I was typing, I realized that the tricky words might not be tricky words to type, but rather tricky words to spell. So here we are working with to lose and loss, which I believe native speakers might make mistakes with those words like it's and it's, there and there, though these weren't here, surprisingly. Anyway, it's still a good practice, so I did that for about 15 minutes. Yes, it was about 15 minutes before moving on to the game. I won't be showing the whole practice here because this is meant to be a quick recap of the week. However, I do keep a recording of my practice with some soothing music, and I shut up, so if you want a bit of ASMR with the sweet typing sound and the not so occasional mistake, you can find that video on my channel. Moving on, we had the game. Today was fun. It was like a what is it called? Ready Cook, or you know those cooking games where you have orders and you need to create the dishes and have them sent to the customers. It took me a bit of time to understand what was happening, though there is a quick tutorial, but obviously I went next. Not very smart, I know. Here, unfortunately it's hidden by my keyboard, but you see the dishes you see the dishes that are ordered, but I wasn't sure which is which. So if you look at the different buildings, you can see there's a little drawing of the things they want. So that's what I was using, and I had a hard time really realizing what was needed then. So I kind of made the dishes semi-randomly and then sent them as soon as I could. Anyway, that was a bit of fun. That was different from the previous one. And if we go directly to the end, we can see my accuracy. It is better, 94, but I hardly typed any words at all, so I'm not sure it's a good comparison with the other days. No big change here. This is quite interesting. Word per minute is roughly the same, but the keyboard mastery, the fact that apparently I have a problem with the J key, and when I scroll down they show the letter I am the worst at is the letter M, and I know I guess I need to practice this one more. That's it for day 6. I'll see you tomorrow. Week 2, day 2, or day 7. For some reason this morning, maybe because I did this early and not quite awake, I selected a 10-minute typing test. And when I realized that about 5 minutes in, thinking, This feels long. Anyway, did the 10 minutes and I was a little surprised to see the results. 36. That is, I believe, a personal best. So it's encouraging because I was thinking that the word per minute didn't have a lot of changes since I started. I hesitated a little bit what to do for the lessons, and I decided to go for the common patterns, which I find useful. Some of them, like the, are fine, ing, okay, nth, I struggled a lot, ship a little bit as well. This felt like good practice. The truth is, the next item in the course is numbers, and I've never done numbers. I know I will be struggling, so I may be procrastinating about doing the numbers while doing something productive. So it's not as bad, is it? Today I didn't feel like playing the game. The game is fun, don't get me wrong, but I don't see a huge progress in my typing, and I figured that if I want to progress, my time would be better spent typing a lot more than I do in the game. So I picked one of the little stories that are on the website. This is what you see on screen. You have the music, the story is kind of wholesome. The colors they use for the keys are a little bit confusing at first, but that's fine. You have the music in the background as well. And when you make a mistake, the music, the volume is lower. And so when you make a lot of mistakes, it just sounds really, really bad. Anyway, I went through that. The whole story took about 40 minutes. So that was quite a lot of time. And at first, I was doing quite okay for that first chapter. I think my speed was 46. We'll see that in a second. Which was really encouraging. However, some 20 minutes in, I realized I was making a lot of mistakes, especially, and that frustrates me, with the three vowels U, I, and O. I know my right hand is not as agile as the left one, but still. So about 20 minutes in, I realized that I was making more and more mistakes, using the backspace or even hitting it 2 or 3 times, even though I made only one mistake. That was frustrating. I decided I should slow down and focus on my accuracy, which is what I did. There were a lot of apostrophes in this text, something that I haven't typed a lot so far. That was good practice. However, by the end of the 40 minutes, I was glad the story was over. Everyone was happy. The girl and the puppy, wonderful. My speed for the very last chapter, I think, was 34. So a lot less. Welcome to week 2, day 3, also known as day 8. I hesitated between the 5 and the 10-minute test. I decided to do the 5-minute test because there are other places where I can do drills and they look prettier, they're just more enjoyable. So I went for 5 minutes. The results were pretty much the same. We're still looking at 36 words per minute. Then comes the truly difficult part that I've been postponing a little bit, but it is time to try and learn the numbers. Now, so far, I've been doing reasonably okay because I had practiced the home row, to a lesser extent the top row, to an even lesser extent the bottom row, but numbers I had never done, and boy oh boy does that show. It was very frustrating. I did practice them for 10 to 15 minutes. My word per minute and accuracy just plummeted, something crazy. Now I know it's a bit like at school where the grades are an indication of your progress, but not really. So I know that the word per minute is not necessarily the best indicator of progress in that case. But after doing numbers, I decided to not jump into the game. My impression of the game, I still love it. I do enjoy it. But because I try to be quick, my accuracy suffers a lot from it. I decided to try something else instead. I did a quick session of Cozy Typer. That's something I got on Steam. It was less than $5 and it's very simple really. You type quotes. A lot of them are really nice. The sound is nice. You can have some music. I did not enable it here because I'm not sure how it is with copyrights. But I did that for how long? Not sure. For about 10 minutes I think, and that calmed me right down, so much so that I decided to play Touch Type Tale after that. The scenario today was quite fun. Let's skip that. We had to capture buildings and we get militia that spawns automatically from the buildings, so it was mostly about sending your units to capture buildings and gradually conquer the map. And I did really good and I thought I had won, but no, then they move on to the second part of this particular scenario and I lost very quickly because I didn't see that one soldier that came and conquered my castle just by standing in front of it. So I did not finish the scenario. I do not have my accuracy for the game, but this scenario was fun. I'll try it again tomorrow. Let's do this. Week 2, day 4 or day 9 of the experiment. I decided to try something and I removed my wrist rest for the test. I didn't like it too much. I thought the wrist rest would reduce my mobility, and I guess it does, but at the same time I felt kind of lost because it was harder to get back to the center. Anyway, I did practice and the results wasn't a lot worse. Just 34, it's a little less good, but anyway. For the lesson, I knew I had to switch gears somehow. I started this doing the typing basics, that is much faster than the typing jungle, but clearly for the numbers I need all the practice I can get. So I decided to do the number lessons from the other course. It was a little bit better, especially because they made you go from F to 4, D to 3, S to 2 and A to 1, which, I mean, I know that every time I need to type number 4 it will not be right after a letter F, but for practice that was good. I had a bit of a weird moment for 5 and 6 where I was like, but 6 is easier to get with my left hand than with my right hand, really. And I did that for the drill, but later on I realized that it didn't work, so I tried to correct that afterwards. I did everything, I was super slow, but it's the practice, that's the name of the game, isn't it? After that, to soothe myself, I did a little bit of Cozy Typer, or typing, I forgot, which I really enjoy. I like the quotes. Some of them resonate more than others, but typically they're rather wholesome, and I do like the sound of the fake keyboard that you get. Following that, the game, I continued the scenario. This is much further in the campaign, and you have at least a 3-part scenario. I completed the second one but failed the third one, so tomorrow I'll try the third part again. Looking at the results, my game accuracy was a bit better, even though I thought it was quite frantic. My word per minute in the test a little worse. I'm gonna blame that on the absence of the wrist rest. The practice time, an hour, a whole hour. Now typically the test and the lesson and the game, that's about 40 minutes, and then I do another 20 minutes later on, and I put that in the ASMR video. But now I was so slow with the numbers that I got to an hour just doing the drills and the game. I'll see if I do more practice later on, but at any rate, that's it for today. See you tomorrow. Final day of week 2, day 10. I got a comment on the first video about getting very different test results from one test to another, so I decided to try a couple of different tests that I could find. I quite like this one, I must say. The UI is clean, the sound you get, the clickety sound, is rather enjoyable. So I don't know if it's just the fact that I enjoyed it. The text itself was reasonably interesting, a little more than the other one I usually do. And the test results were actually pretty encouraging, so maybe that contributes to me liking it more than the other one. So we're sitting at 40 words per minute. Out of curiosity, I tried a second test, and this one had a different approach. You wouldn't type a sentence, but a series of words. At first I thought that they picked less usual words on purpose, but then as the exercise continued, the words felt a little more common. The results were also encouraging, not quite 40, but almost there. For the practice, I decided I should try to get a better score for the drills that I did yesterday. And I don't know, is it the lack of coffee? It's the end of the week, but I felt I was all over the place, making mistakes for letters that I thought I had maybe not mastered, but I could type consistently, correctly. So I got quite nervous and I didn't go very far. So after just a couple of drills, I moved on to the game. I actually had fun with the game. Yesterday I lost because I was trying to defend the place. I'm guessing because I'm on easy level. The troops that you see on the coast, the yellow troops, they never really attacked, and I was just playing defensive. And after a while I was like, oh, maybe I should attack, but by then I didn't have enough units. What I did this time, I sent my units to attack when the troops from the boats landed. That way I was able to get a foothold. I did make better use of the spell. This one is called Root, and it prevents units from moving. A little bit more, not perfect, but anyway, I had more fun with this one, and I did win. The accuracy, 93. We've been between 91 and 93, so I guess that's good. Some interesting results from the Ed Typing Club stats. First of all, I see a lot more red on my keyboard than I did previously. This sort of confirms the impression I had when I was doing the drills, that I was making mistakes that I was not making before. It felt like that. I felt more insecure, I guess. I think over the weekend or when I start week 3, I want to do again the basic drills for the home row, the top row, and the bottom row, just to make sure I got these right before I put the numbers in there again. Something a little more encouraging, the word per minute for my left hand and my right hand used to be greater than that. Now it's 34 and 38 word per minute. There was a greater difference. I don't remember the numbers exactly. Looking at my own graph, the trend is ever so slightly upwards. I don't really know if the progress is slow because I'm not practicing enough, because I am not doing the right type of drills. I guess we'll just have to see what week 3 brings.